Welcome to the BEAU Show. Today's show is pretty serious because even though I love putting some levity in my shows, this one is not one to laugh about. On Sunday night, the Epoch Times printing house in Hong Kong was attacked. Hammer-wielding intruders barged into the Hong Kong edition of the Epoch Times on Sunday night, smashing computers and printing equipment. The attack is believed to be the latest effort by the Chinese Communist Party to silence the Epoch Times, which is now America's fastest growing independent media. In an attack on the same facility in November of 2019, 4 masked men set fire to 2 printing presses. Those arsonists remain at large. Now, the Epoch Times is known for its uncensored coverage of the CCP, the regime's human rights violations against ethnic minorities and religious groups, and Beijing's propaganda and influence abroad, such as right here in the USA. The Epoch Times in Hong Kong has also provided coverage of the pro-democracy movement in Hong Kong, which subsided last summer when Beijing imposed a national security law to extinguish it. Here's how it went down. At about 4:38 a.m. on Sunday, a female employee returned to the print shop where she spotted a man in his 30s on his cell phone nearby. The man stood in the sliding doorway, preventing the employee from closing it. 3 other men showed up and pushed their way into the plant. 2 carried sledgehammers and 1 had a knife. They smashed printing press equipment with the sledgehammers, and the press has been attacked 4 previous times. Several U.S. senators, Reporters Without Borders, and the Committee to Protect Journalists all spoke out against the previous arson attack. Now, this is not an appealing topic to discuss, but it is highly relevant because the press is being attacked abroad. And in this case, this same printing plant was attacked on 4 other occasions. This is to say that the attack is on the information reaching people, such as the human rights violations and attacks on democracy. Now, you probably think, well, that's Hong Kong. That's a long way away. It doesn't affect me. But think again. The Chinese Communist Party has long had its sights set on America, finding every way to infiltrate it. Did you never wonder why more Americans have died of COVID-19 than Chinese, even in Wuhan? They have their footprint all over the World Health Organization as well. Chinese media is propaganda. They do this because they must control the narrative at all times. So when we think of the American press, you probably think we have freedom of the press. But what happens when the majority of that press starts thinking and talking and informing the same way? It loses its independence. The last article I could find by CBS on the Chinese Communist Party was 2017. NBC did a fluff article investigating the Wuhan lab last year, for which they were heavily criticized for being soft. ABC's last reporting was over a year ago. When you search for this latest attack on the Epoch Times facility in Hong Kong, only Yahoo News and Reddit seem to have taken an interest. Maybe the major media were still looking to, find a story on Ron DeSantis. But this just goes to show you that during the Trump administration, you heard phrases like attack on the press. Well, think again. This is what an attack actually looks like. And we know this because they damaged the mechanism of content delivery, which ironically is a printing press. People in China cannot even receive true information because the CCP blocks it. Sometimes you have to go rogue and bring a physical newspaper to people. Now, while we don't know whether this latest attack were actual CCP thugs, the fact that this facility has been attacked several times previously should raise a red flag. The fact that the previous attackers and arsonists have not been apprehended and charged should also speak volumes. Now, some members of Congress have spoken out. Devin Nunes of California said to the Epoch Times, quote, "The repeated violent attacks on the Epoch Times shock the conscience. Clearly, the Chinese Communist Party and its street thugs cannot abide any media outlet reporting the facts about the party's depredations." End quote. Nunes added, "At a time when America's corporate media have adopted the self-righteous slogan, 'Speak truth to power,' the Epoch Times has the courage to actually do it. and they are paying a high price for sticking to their principles. Representative Scott Perry described the CCP's rule as a thugocracy that relies on intimidation, extortion, and violence to suppress freedom and those who strive for truth and self-government by consent. It would be no surprise if the CCP were behind such an attack, as they consistently seek to extinguish any light that exposes the dark sea of repression that keeps their illegitimate government afloat. Freedom of the press in Hong Kong has gradually eroded since that city was transferred from British to CCP rule in 1997. Once a bastion of press freedom in Asia, the city has fallen from 18th place in Reporters Without Borders World Press Freedom Index in 2002 to its current ranking at 80th place. The slide was a result of pressure from Beijing, according to the nonprofit. So this type of attack matters, but I do find it rather remarkable that no press here in the United States is calling attention to it, nor are many members of Congress. If America is to survive, especially with CCP pressure everywhere, it has to support democracy and a free, independent press worldwide. Because think about the COVID pandemic. There was so much confusion early on because China was not honest about this virus, and it became too late once it had spread. We still don't really even know the origins because China won't let the inspectors take a thorough look. Nothing to see here, they say. Move along. I was speaking with a friend recently about the fact that this pandemic is likely not going to be the last one we will see. And if bioterrorism becomes commonplace, we have to remain vigilant about how and where we get our information. Supporting press like the Epoch Times in places like Hong Kong is essential because you can see what the opposition is doing to it. Then look at how social media silences voices. Do you see how the transition is not that far off? It starts benignly, then it becomes acceptable. Customs, norms, traditions, morality, faith in higher powers, organized religion, organizations and gatherings in general, and the ability to express oneself all become suppressed under authoritarian regimes. This is what the United States of America is all about, preserving those liberties. An independent press with independent voices is essential, not just here in America, but abroad. I'm Beau, and that's today's special show.